Pope Francis in Manila urges leaders to end corruption. Pope Francis has called on leaders to fight corruption and end scandalous social inequalities, on the first full day of his Philippine visit. The Pope was speaking at a welcome ceremony at the presidential palace hosted by President Benigno Aquino. He is now celebrating a Mass at the capital's Basilica of the Immaculate Conception. The pontiff was greeted by huge crowds as he arrived in the overwhelmingly Catholic country on Thursday. The highlight of the papal visit will be on Sunday, when an open-air Mass is expected to attract millions. The Pope is on a 6-day tour of Asia. Earlier in the week he visited Sri Lanka. Voice of the Poor. Well-wishers line the streets to catch a glimpse of Pope Francis in Manila on January 15, 2015. The Pope received a rapturous reception as he arrived in Manila. Speaking at Friday's welcome ceremony to the Philippine president and other officials, Pope Francis called for leaders to reject every form of corruption, which diverts resources from the poor, and to make concerted efforts to ensure inclusivity. It is now, more than ever, necessary that political leaders be outstanding for honesty, integrity, and commitment to the common good, he added. He said that the Bible emphasized that there was a duty to hear the voice of the poor and break the bonds of injustice and oppression which give rise to glaring, and indeed scandalous, social inequalities. Reforming the social structures which perpetuate poverty and the exclusion of the poor first requires a conversion of mind and heart, he said. Corruption has been a long-standing issue in the Philippines. It placed 85 in Transparency International's latest Corruption Perceptions Index. Filipino Catholic devotees gather outside the Manila Cathedral as they wait to celebrate a Mass with Pope Francis in Manila, Philippines, January 16, 2015. Many people began waiting outside the cathedral in Manila for the Mass in the early hours of Friday. The pontiff said ahead of his arrival that those at the bottom on the economic ladder were the focus of his visit, including people hit by the deadly Typhoon Haiyan in November 2013. The Pope will meet survivors of the storm, which left more than 7,000 people dead or missing, on Saturday in Tacloban, the worst affected area. Pope Francis waves to the crowds on arriving at the airport in Manila, January 15, 2015. Pope Francis traveled in his open-sided Pope Mobile from the airport into Manila on Thursday. Line. Pope Francis's Philippines schedule. Thursday, arrived in Manila. Friday, meets President Benigno Aquino and celebrates Mass in Manila Cathedral. Saturday, heads to Tacloban, to celebrate Mass and have lunch with survivors of Typhoon Haiyan. Returns to Manila that evening. Sunday, morning meeting with representatives of various religions and with young people, before celebrating Mass for up to 6 million people in Rizal Park. Dancing inmates and jeepney Pope Mobile ready for Francis. Line. Millions of Filipinos are expected to come out to see Pope Francis over his 5-day visit. Some 80% of the nation's 100 people are Roman Catholics. On Friday morning, Manila's streets were crowded as the Pope began his day of events. People had already gathered at the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception hours ahead of the Mass. Later in the day the pontiff will attend a prayer service in a stadium in Manila. Security is very tight after failed attempts to kill 2 previous popes, with tens of thousands of soldiers and police deployed. National holidays have been declared in the capital for the duration of the Pope's visit.